update for some 3-hour marathon experiment. This week, to be honest, is a bit of a shocker. I've pulled up a bit sore. I had quite a big week last week and I was feeling the fatigue, and this week I had the Monday off again, which I've been doing as sort of part of that rest day. Tuesday ran with the pod, and RK Pod just did some hills and stuff, and they're quite steep hills, and I thought I'll go and do a bit of a run with the hills and try and get that going, and but I just could not keep my heart rate down. So once we'd done a couple of laps, it was like a little, you do sort of 4 or 5 laps of this quite decent sort of ascent, and then nice little descent where you can sort of rip, but I couldn't sort of keep the heart rate down under that sort of 150 beat. So I thought, well, since I'm only running 90% of this at sort of low heart rate and the other 10%, at some point I've got to build in some tough sort of hill sessions and some tough speed work. I thought, well, why not chuck in 10 minutes of it today? And that all went pretty good. So I used the last few laps to really sort of power up the hills. Heart rate sort of peaked out at real max. So with this program, and what I'm trying to do is stay out of that middle junk zone, have the real low end aerobic base building, and then that real top end sort of speed work to develop the power and the strength and all that. So I used that hill session to do that. And that all felt really good. On the downhills, I really let rip on the downhills because I actually love running downhills. In the trail running, I love to really sort of go for it. And the downhills, I don't kind of care if I hit a tree or fall or anything like that. But bitumen's a little bit different, of course, but gave it a really good rip on the downhills. And I was just really happy with how, even from doing all the really slow running, just the ability for my legs to turn over really fast. And even though it was only for like a brief, 100, 150 meters, I was hitting like 24 plus kilometers an hour, which is like 2-minute 26 minute per K sort of pace. And like I said, it's not a full kilometer, it's a short little chunk of time. But my cadence was up at like 227, which so really egg beating the legs over quite quickly. Finished that session, jogged warm up, in the low heart rate, cooled down and did a couple extra Ks on the end and tried to bring back down that low heart rate and just had that little chunk of power burst in the middle. Didn't run Wednesday. I had to go to Brisbane for some client stuff, so I had the Wednesday off again. And on Thursday, actually the Wednesdays where I started to pull up a little bit sore. So my left sort of calf muscle, Achilles, and I'm guessing maybe it was from the hills and maybe it's from the load in the last couple of weeks, and my body's just getting a little bit tired. But from feeling a little bit sort of mentally guilty on the Thursday from having the Wednesday off, I did a bit of a double run, I guess. So I took off early in the morning with little man in the pram, and we did about 8.5 Ks from a park here and sort of headed down to Burleigh. Had a coffee and a bit of a break for an hour or so, met Missy down there, and then I ran back about another 8 or so kilometres. So it sort of gave me another 16, 17 Ks. But I can tell from two things. I'm not feeling great, felt quite a bit of fatigue. My calf is getting sore. So it feels quite sort of tender, a little bit of inflammation. It doesn't feel like an injury, so I wouldn't call it that. Probably call it more of a niggle. But what I'm also seeing is my pace is slowed again. So at the 140 beats a minute, this niggle is slowing me down. I'm back to like 5-minute 50, 6-minute Ks, which is not really a good sign. But this is one of the beauties, I guess, of low heart rate training, is knowing where you're at. And because it's all the same sort of runs and paths I've done, I can sort of see straight away my body's tired and it's fatigued and it needs a bit of a rest. And obviously the dead giveaway sign of that is I was literally that sore on the Thursday. So where I really got pulled up was on the Friday. Friday went for just a really short, easy run with the pod. Caught up with there's only a handful of us running. Ran with Ross and Tammy, and we just went off at a really cruisy pace. But at about 3 or 4 K in, I could really feel this calf muscle again, just starting to kind of flare up. First couple of K felt okay, and the speed was okay too in terms of recovery-wise. So I could see the pace is sort of still there from a heart rate point of view. But as soon as my legs started to feel a bit again, it was a struggle to kind of keep it going. And all those little struggles kind of add up in terms of heart rate. And last couple of K, I just wasn't really enjoying it all. So I really took my own advice and kind of just listened to my body, and got to about 6K and I literally just kind of stopped. I think I finished this about the 6K or somewhere near the bridge heading back over Burleigh Hill, and I just decided to walk. And it felt nice just sort of walking it off. And it's important we don't get too caught up in trying to push through and the whole no pain, no gain mentality, which is just ridiculous. It's the best way to get injured and set yourself back. For me to have 2 or 3 weeks off because I've been stupid and sidelined myself would just be dumb. But obviously this is playing on my mind. I'm thinking, what have I done? How bad is it? Am I going to recover? I got a little bit of comfort. I got back to the car park and met up with the others, and Ross caught up with me pretty quickly. And being such an experienced marathon coach and such a great runner himself, he's coached so many people. One of the first things that he sort of said to me was, it's just the kilometres that you've logged. It's just a bit of fatigue catching up with you, and it's what you got to do when you run a marathon, and just have some rest days and just freshen right up, and then you'll be right to go again. And that actually made me feel a lot better. But really important that I kind of pulled the pin there and there when I did, and don't try and push through something like this. So I've been icing for the last few days, Saturday, Sunday off. I'll possibly even have tomorrow off, the Monday again, and just see how things pull up, and then get back into it with some light running. A couple of things I've learned out of this though is when you're feeling injury, listen to your body. When you're feeling niggles, just pull up. Make sure you're getting massage regularly. I've done 7 weeks of enough kilometres now and haven't had a massage, and which is a little bit sort of hindsight silly. I've just, you know, kind of in a routine doing what we do with baby and family and Christmas and everything else. So it's probably good advice that I would think maybe every 100 to 200 kilometres get a good massage. Been stretching, been rolling, been icing, been doing all the other sort of right things in terms of health and recovery, eating really well, supplementing well. But this week has been a real pullback. I've only done about 33 Ks this week and done about 3.5 hours, and just literally just pull the pin on the rest of the week, make it a real light week. Even coming back in next week, I'm going to go back to some 45-minute runs rather than trying to keep pushing that hour 10 minutes on everyday runs. Just be happy with a few 45-minute runs. I've been doing quite a lot of weekends with the double long runs where I'm doing an hour and a half and then backing up with close to 2 hours on the Sunday. I'm just going to pull that back to one long run on the weekend again, just for a few more weeks. Just try and let my body accumulate. Looking back over the last 7 weeks, I've noticed my best progressions have been when I'm doing 60, 65 Ks a week. My pace per kilometre has picked up the most. So maybe stepping up into the 70s and 75 Ks has been a little bit premature, and my body's just not quite ready for it. Maybe it's going to be a good thing and the mileage will add up, sort of time will tell, but not liking the niggles. Emotionally, it gives you giving me a little bit too much uncertainty, and definitely going to find some rest days and just ease back into the kilometres, and hopefully you know, the elasticity that we talked about on last week's video kicks in. My Achilles just settles down, and it develops into some strength, and that can sort of take me further forward. So thanks for watching. You know, please subscribe to our YouTube account as well too if you're on board, and look forward to any comments or feedback you might have, and I'll see you again next week. Will be week 8, and coming up close to another math test, and we'll see how the results are, but a bit of an up and down couple of weeks. So catch you on the next one. Cheers.